Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today's gonna be a little different. If you guys do watch my videos, if you're new, I'm Goose. How are you guys doing? But today we're gonna be talking about the NA qualifiers for SI. If you haven't been up to date, basically what it is four NA teams compete against each other, and one will take the last spot for an NA team in SI. If you don't know what SI is, probably should be watching this video. But out of the four teams, we have Mirage, One Shot, Parabellum, and TSM. All of these teams obviously are here for a reason. Aside from Mirage, they're kind of, in my opinion, the odd man out, and I'll go into that later. So I'm going to go through each of these teams, talk about them, and then rank them from who I think will most likely be to win the qualifier and who will most likely not be able to. And first, we start with Mirage, which is probably going to be my last team, and that reason is because throughout this throughout the three stages of NA, they have not been last. I don't think many times they've almost been last, and actually were pretty close to being in relegations. But XSET took the cake for that one, and if you did watch the relegation match, definitely deserved to be there. Or NVK did, at least. I think the main problem with the Mirage we have right now is how many times they've had a roster change. As I talk about these four teams, the main problems aren't going to be with how they play or their play style, but what has happened to the roster. And with Mirage, it's changed quite a bit. From Hot and Cold leaving for SSG, and Quartz leaving and then having some problem with like the actual org, not the team itself. I don't know. Fun fact, Quartz, who was on Mirage, is now on One Shot, which is one of the four teams competing. We'll go into that later. But yeah, now I'm pretty sure they have Tommy, who was originally on XSET and dropped for some fucking reason. I'm not even going to say that was one of XSET's biggest mistakes, because XSET has made so many goddamn stupid-ass choices this year with their roster changes. I don't know. But overall, I think Mirage, just as a team, isn't experienced compared to the other teams fighting to qualify for SI. Also, I think out of all the teams, they don't have the best understanding of the current meta. Of course, no one in NA is as caught up as Brazil is, obviously, but Mirage, out of these four, I think have the least amount of understanding of how this current meta is being played. Which leads into the second team I will talk about, One Shot. Now, One Shot is the only Challenger League team in this set of four. Parabellum was, but now they've qualified with the relegation match against XSET for NA League. But with One Shot, you have Quartz, who I mentioned before, was on Mirage earlier this year before he eventually left to personal reasons, not too sure. But it's not like they have an upper hand on Mirage by understanding the meta better. They just understand how teams play. Now, right now for One Shot, I'm going to be basing most of my research or how they play on the open qualifiers that happened not too long ago in December. So they looked pretty decent. They did, I'm pretty sure, yeah, they won the first open qualifier, then Parabellum won the second. But I think they just have a better understanding of how at least NA teams play in the current meta. So I think that's why they have an upper hand on Mirage. And our final two teams are TSM and Parabellum. Now, if you look at all these teams, most people are going to probably say TSM or Parabellum are going to win this, and there is a reason. For Parabellum, which we'll talk about right now, just qualified for NA. They actually did qualify for NA a year ago, but there were a lot of fucking problems, and then their org completely just said, okay, yeah, we're just going to leave. Fuck you guys. We know you qualified. You guys have a spot, but you don't got any more. We're going to leave. And with all the problems, I'm not going to go into the problems. That's a whole different video. I think, actually, Caliber Jacob did an outstanding video I'll probably link in the video. Go watch it if you want to hear their story. But with all they've gone through, they still qualified for NA League when they won the relegation match against Exit. So they're not exactly veterans, but they did play at SI 2021. So compared to Mirage and One Shot, they do have international LAN experience. Now, you're probably saying, oh, well, that doesn't mean too much. But in the long run, if they do qualify, that will mean way more and give them a way better chance of actually seeding better or at least having a chance to win. But yeah, now we're going to move on to TSM. And this is mine and probably going to be most people's picks because, not just because they're TSM, but because of the story they have. If you guys haven't been keeping up with the NA League, TSM has had some roster problems, not with changing, but with their players being able to play in tournaments or just the league. Earlier in the year after SI 2021, Geo had some problems getting back into the US. Not exactly sure, I can't comment on that, but it made him not able to play, and then TSM's coach, Pojo Man, had to sub in for, I think, the second stage, which on its own is already pretty bad. And then I think Gio played 1 or 2 games before the Mexico Major. But then in the fucking Mexico Major, I think it was Merc got COVID and he couldn't play. So they had to have Pojo sub in again, which is, it's kind of funny. I feel, because Pojo is doing like extra work this first half of the year. And because of this, they weren't prepared, and then they had a falling out. And then when they came back, I think it was mostly fine. But the problem was when they were playing against other NA teams, for example, DZ or Sonics or SSG, they had somewhat solid rosters. They weren't really affected by COVID. They had been playing together. They played together in the Mexico Major. So they had this upper hand of just playing together for a couple months while TSM didn't. And this is probably why they did bad. Then, leading up to the Sweden Major, they didn't qualify. Which means they also didn't qualify for the NA Finals. Yeah, and for a team like TSM, who was the best NA team in the SI 2021, that's a big deal. And in my opinion, because of that, they kind of have to, like, qualify for SI. It sounded like a teenage girl by saying like, but yeah, if they don't do this, they're going to have to do something, because it might not just be this roster change, or not roster change, but roster problem. It might be something internally. I think they'll do it, and I think they really want that, kind of redemption story of like, oh, hey, we've had a bad year, but we're going to come back at the end, qualify for SI. I think having that and having all this time to practice and train will make them the team to qualify for SI. I just think it's means more to them than any other team on this roster, or not roster, but map pool, or can't talk, but you understand what I'm saying. Out of all the teams, they most likely will want it most and need it most. And if they don't qualify, there might be some change-ups in roles, or maybe even a roster change, which hasn't happened in like 2 years. This has been one of the only NA teams that have not changed anything in their roster in years. Now we're going to come to ranking each team. Pretty much have, but I'm just going to make it clear. So my top pick, and I think who's going to qualify, will be TSM. And I think out of all teams, they'll have the best chance to actually do something and then maybe win. But to be honest, I don't think any of these 4 teams will win SI. Maybe not anyone in NA. I'm an SSG fanboy. I'm just going to say it real quick. Out of all teams, SSG is probably going to win. But we're not talking about that right now. So yes, TSM is going to be my number 1 pick to who's going to win it all. Then second, I will put Parabellum, just because of their experience. Then One Shot, because of their understanding. And then Mirage. They're a decent team, better than Exit, but I think they still have a lot to work on as a team and how they function and do plays and shit. But yeah, that's my predictions. Um, if you guys like this kind of content, tell me. I really love CG Sports. I know I probably got like a lot of the wording wrong, probably said a lot of wrong stuff, but I think I got my point across. If you guys agree or disagree with my picks, let me know in the comments or on my Twitter, retardedgoose3, or Instagram, r6_goose. But yeah, I've been Goose, and we'll just have to see if anyone pulls out, gets sick, or loses in these qualifiers. So yeah, have a great day. Bye bye.